Well, thank you so much, Jess. I'm really excited to be talking to everyone today. So today I'm going to be talking about setting up your social media marketing funnel, kind of the concept of what that is and how it kind of links into what we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks. So there's quite a lot of this is sort of setting the scene for how some of the things you're actually going to be putting into action later on in the program will actually, like how it all links together. So we're talking today about how your overall marketing funnel links together and all of that. But I just wanted to get an idea of who we've got here. Let me just have a look. Great, we've got lots of people joining us, which is fantastic. So I know you guys have been sort of joining in various sessions already up to today. I'm not sure if anyone had a chance to watch my video that I recorded introducing the concept of a funnel or not. So if you did, do you mind just like, I don't know, waving your hand or something or popping in the chat? Just to get an idea of who's got that background already. Okay, so a few people messaging in the chat. Yes, excellent. That's great. If you didn't have a chance to watch it, that's fine. Just let me know. So I have an idea of how much background we already have and how much I need to review. Okay, getting lots of yeses. That's fantastic. Great. If you didn't see the video, that's no problem. Hopefully everything I talk about today makes sense. But I recommend after today's session, you can also just log back into the course and you can check out the video there. It's like 10 minutes or so, and it's just introducing the concept of the funnel in a sort of short, condensed way rather than my usual rambling way. So I'd recommend having a quick watch of that if you have a chance later. Cool. Let me just share my screen. I made some slides because, as you can probably tell, I do tend to ramble a lot. So therefore I need slides to keep me on track. Why are these slides not showing up? Hang on. Come on, Google. That's because I had Chrome open on about 50 tabs open. It's confusing it. We'll get there. Share screen. There we go. Okay, someone give me a thumbs up. Can you all see the screen, okay? All looking good? Fantastic, thanks. So I'm just going to put myself at the top there. There we go. Right. So today I'm going to be talking about the social media marketing funnel strategy. And this is quite an overview, and it will apply to broadly any social media platform we talk about throughout this program. So as I say, it's setting the scene as to how everything links together and give you some ideas on what you want to think about as you go through. So as a quick introduction to myself, if anyone's not seen me before, I did give a presentation a few days ago, actually, talking about curriculum and things. I know I saw quite a few familiar faces from that webinar. But just to kind of review, my name's Katie. I'm the director of Abridge Academy. I've been an online teacher since 2013. I'm also a qualified classroom teacher here in the UK. And I lived, studied and taught in China and Japan. I don't know why I didn't put that on there. China and Japan before. And more relevant to what we're talking about today, I also have quite a lot of experience in terms of social media marketing and doing business internationally. So I have a micro MBA from Shanghai Jiao Tong University. A couple of years back in 2020, I co-founded a Chinese online ESL startup program. And I've been a classroom teacher. I sell teaching resources online. I sell curriculum. I sell courses. I do all kinds of stuff as well. So I've got quite a broad range of different experiences. But I'm hoping this gives me a bit of an insight into different markets that you guys might be focusing on, and also some of the business aspects, which is, I think, the biggest challenge for a lot of teachers is switching on that business mindset and thinking about yourself as an entrepreneur and as a business owner rather than just as a teacher. And that's kind of what I want to focus on more today. So I've got a quick question for you guys. Feel free to message in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and join in the chat conversation. What do you think a social media funnel is? What is the idea of a social media funnel? What do we mean by that? And a little picture on the screen might give you a few ideas if you need some prompts. So I know this gets talked about a lot. Oh, you need a funnel. What's your funnel strategy? But what do we mean by that? Oh, Alana's saying getting potential clients. Absolutely, yes, that's our goal. We want to get new clients, new paying students. And we're saying getting leads. Excellent. I love this. There's a distinction there between leads for people who might become clients later and then actual paying clients. And again, saying everything on one platform. Oh, this is interesting. We'll talk more about this in a minute, but actually I'd recommend you're probably going to want to use at least 2 separate platforms at different stages of the funnel. We'll talk more about that later. I was saying take the meet and greet and move it to a new client. Great idea, Alison. Excellent. Celia's saying method driving people to your page. Vashti, funneling the relevant clients. Absolutely. Okay, so we're getting the idea here. The idea is attracting people who might be interested and then converting them into actual paying students, right? That's the basic concept. Fantastic. So I like to think of it as a sort of step-by-step process that's going to attract new leads, nurture that relationship, and then convert them into new paying students. And one thing I think is really important, and I see a lot of teachers making the mistake on social media, is that you can't sell straight away unless you're being super cheap. And we don't want to be super cheap, right? So you can't just post adverts everywhere and expect people to buy straight away. We have something called the 7-touch principle. And the idea is basically that people have to connect with you in some way, on average 7 times before they're ready to make a purchase decision. So that could be seeing some of your posts, it could be engaging with you through messages or comments in the chat thread somewhere, it could be through looking at some of your email communications, anything like that. But there's on average 7 points of contact before they make that purchase decision. This is some kind of marketing thing. I'm not quite sure where they came up with this, but it's a general principle. I think it's worth bearing in mind. So when we think about where do those leads come from then, how are we going to find potential clients in the first place? I would say on average, there's sort of 3 main sources of leads for online teachers. Firstly, there's referrals. So your existing students or contacts you've got recommending you to their friends. We can also look at social media, which is going to be the main focus of what we're talking about today. So we have what we might call viral social media platforms like Xiaohongshu or Facebook or YouTube or all kinds of different apps you can use that's going to reach a broad range of people. But also through networks. And by networks, I mean sort of group chats. There's some apps that specifically focus on networking, for example, LinkedIn being a very popular, well-known one. Don't think many of us are focusing so much on LinkedIn. I'm not a big fan myself, but that sort of networking type system as well, which is drawing on networks and connections to bring in new people. So if we're going to focus today on, sorry, I've got a chat thread floating around in the way. Let's move that. There we go. Today, I want to focus specifically on this central idea of social media. And this is great because even if you have no existing students, no network, no useful contacts at all, you can still find new leads and convert them into paying students using social media, which is, of course, a big focus for many of us. And this is an overview of what we call a typical social media funnel. So the idea is you have lots of people coming in the top. You see a sort of funnel shape. So there's lots of people coming in at the top. You want to attract your target audience. You want to inspire them to take action. You want to engage with them so they get to know you on a more individual level. And then you want to convert them into paying clients, actually sell them something. And then longer term, I like to have this extra bit on the bottom of my funnel, which is the idea of the funnel going back out again and bringing in new leads. You want to be retaining your current students by being a good teacher, right? And then getting them to recommend you to their friends. And that's going to bring in even more leads. And you'll notice here, I've kind of put 2 main sections on the right. And if you watched the video that I sent through beforehand, then I kind of went into a bit of depth on that as well. But essentially, the idea of these 2 key sections of the funnel is the top bit of the funnel, which has got your viral potential, the ability to reach lots of people. Now, we don't actually necessarily want to go viral, but we do want to reach lots of new people, right? So these apps at the top. And here you're going to be caring about the algorithm. You're going to be caring about reaching your specific target audience. You want to be representing yourself as an expert in your, sometimes we call it a niche, or in your specialist area. And you'll be reaching lots of people, and it's low pressure. So people on these apps like Facebook, Instagram, Xiaohongshu, LinkedIn, YouTube, Douyin, TikTok, loads of these apps, right? People on these apps are scrolling randomly. They're browsing stuff. They don't have to engage. There's very low pressure on them to engage directly with you. And therefore, it's a bit less personal. But it means that they can get to know you a little bit without feeling pressured to buy anything yet. And then once they've got to know you a bit more, you want to move them onto a more personal platform. And the reason you want to do this is because you can then communicate with them more individually and more privately. You don't want sort of big public messages talking about classes necessarily all over social media, right? But it's going to be higher pressure on them. So they're only going to be willing to do this once they're quite confident that they like and trust you as a teacher, and they're genuinely starting to think about potentially maybe taking classes with you, right? They've already had to start thinking a bit more about you as a teacher, as someone they might want to purchase something from. And you're going to need to persuade them to get onto this messaging system of some kind, like giving over your personal email address, your phone number, your messaging contact details, these kind of things. It's quite personal to you. So we'll talk a bit more about this later, but essentially, in return for something, you're going to get hold of these contact details and able to engage with them on a more personal level. At this point, your goal is now not to attract lots of people, but to nurture those relationships with individuals and inspire a sense of sort of urgency and need to purchase classes relatively soon. And you engage them in sales messaging strategies that's actually going to get them to buy. Okay, I'm rambling a lot, but does this kind of make sense? Drop me a yes in the chat if you're following. I'm seeing a few nodding faces. That's positive. Great. Emma's saying yes. Fantastic. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Awesome. Lots of people saying yes. Fantastic. Okay. If you ever had any questions as we go, I'm going to ask more things as we go along. I just want to skim through this bit, but do drop messages, questions in the chat as we go as well. Okay, now this is probably a very quick overview. I sent this in the video beforehand, so I'm not going to go in detail. But this is a funnel you might already be quite confident with, the idea of Facebook to email as a marketing funnel. So you see here we've got two main systems. Facebook is like the top of the funnel, and email is going to be further down the funnel in this particular example. Now, I am simplifying this a bit. In reality, people sometimes draw these funnels with loops that go back and join into other bits, and you might have a Facebook group sort of squeezing in the middle there and all kinds of other things going on. But the basic idea here is that you'll post things on Facebook that are valuable, interesting, informative, engage with your target audience. You'll persuade them to give you their email address in return for some kind of freebie. We call this a lead magnet. So it could be a guide, an ebook, a webinar, some kind of worksheet. And then once you've got them on your email list, you can then send them follow-up emails or in the lead magnet itself, like if it's a webinar, for example, in the webinar itself, mentioning your paid offer. And we usually start with something you'd call a low ticket offer, which is not too expensive, not like a massive year-long package of classes paid up front, something like that. Something small, maybe a group program, maybe a trial class, and maybe a short package of classes you're then going to pitch to them. And you might be sort of nodding along being like, oh, I've seen this before, right? Because most of you probably seen some of Jess's messaging on Facebook. This is basically a very rough-ish idea of sort of how people like Jess are advertising on Facebook and exactly what you can do with your own students. You would have gone through this exact funnel yourself before you signed up to this program, right? You would have seen some advert. It wouldn't look like an advert, but something positive, something informative, promoting a webinar that sounds interesting. You go along to the webinar. In the webinar, you see Jess nodding, yeah, in the webinar, Jess then says, why don't you sign up to this program? And then you join this program, right? So it's a very rough overview of a similar kind of idea. Now, we can also apply the same concept to other apps you might not be so familiar with. So for me personally, my main focus has been on the Chinese market. And in China, they don't have Facebook, okay? They don't really use email that much. They don't have access to, I don't know, YouTube and WhatsApp and all these other apps that we use. Instead, some of the most popular apps that online teachers are using to target Chinese students are Xiaohongshu and WeChat. Xiaohongshu is broadly a bit like Instagram. WeChat is a bit like WhatsApp, just to give you a rough idea. We're going to talk a lot more about this in the last week of the program. And you'll notice that we start off on Xiaohongshu, which is our Instagram equivalent. You're going to post interesting, valuable, inspirational content. It's going to attract new leads. You're going to persuade those leads to join you, maybe in some kind of Xiaohongshu or WeChat group chat. Here you can share free resources, you can run events, you can do webinars, you create a nice little community, and they start to get to know you a little bit more individually. And then from there, you can then promote to them directly, signing up for your classes, group programs, trial classes, something like that. Okay, I've got a question in the chat here. Eddie's asking, Xiaohongshu allows for group chats. Yes, on Xiaohongshu, you can create a group chat. It's not as good as the WeChat groups. You can't do quite as many things, but you can send messages, you can do polls, you can share images and posts and things like that. And the great thing about Xiaohongshu group chats is that it's all within Xiaohongshu. So for people who are already on Xiaohongshu, like it's very easy for them to join the group chat, and you can promote it in your post. So you can directly link to the group chat in your post. So when they look at your post, I'll show you this on mine. Let me just pull this up. Stop the screen share for a moment. So for example, if I go to my Xiaohongshu here, and I click on, let me think about post where I've mentioned it. Let me find one. Okay, so this was one of my posts. It was talking, it's not a particularly great post. It was one I was talking about radioactive water released from Fukushima nuclear power plant. It was like a debating sciencey class. And I put a little bit of information about that topic and shared it on Xiaohongshu. But you'll notice as you scroll down, at the bottom of the post, there's this little bit here that says group. And there's my group there. And if they click on that, they can then request to join my Xiaohongshu group. So it means you can like very easily promote that group on Xiaohongshu itself, rather than having to go to messages and then take them off onto WeChat. But the only disadvantage of this is that because you haven't got them yet on WeChat, it's not quite as personal an approach. So you're still having to message through Xiaohongshu, and if they do want to take classes with you, you still have to do that extra conversion step to get them onto WeChat. So I think it's worth experimenting with groups, but also don't get too scared by all these ideas up front. I just wanted to give you a few insights there. Oh, so a few more questions. I'll go back to the screen share in a moment. Alana saying, you sound so fluent, you say that. Do you know Chinese? Thank you. I studied Chinese for about 10 or so years now. I started studying in school. And I spent a year at university in China studying 20 hours a week of Chinese classes. So yeah, my Chinese is okay. But don't worry, you don't have to know Chinese to target Chinese students. I know plenty of teachers who are having success in the Chinese market without knowing a single word of Chinese. Okay, like there's translation tools. It's very possible to do well without knowing Chinese. Christine is asking, are there any topics that steer clear of when posting, please? Yeah, it very much depends on different platforms, right? I wanted to keep today quite broad, not just about Chinese platforms. So you have to check each platform and their rules and regulations. If we're talking about Chinese social media, China is quite restrictive on a lot of topics, right? So avoid talking about politics, avoid talking about religion, avoid talking about any opinions on the government and things like that. Don't mention, Taiwan, these kind of topics. Yeah, be very careful what you post on Chinese social media. Generally, if you avoid controversial topics, you're going to be fine. Talk about educational things. Very rarely has any issues. The only thing I have seen some teachers do is religious related topics. So don't talk about religious topics in Chinese social media. They have various rules against these sort of things, unfortunately. Great. Also, Fatima's asking, do we post in Xiaohongshu in English? And Jess just replied, I agree with Jess. Yes. Translate it into Chinese first. The algorithm, the search algorithm and stuff is looking for keywords in Chinese. Your target audience is looking for content in Chinese because they're Chinese speakers if you're on Xiaohongshu. So you want to post in the target language of your target customer. I would say that also applies to other platforms too. I don't know if Jess agrees with me on this, but like if you're posting on Facebook and you're trying to target Spanish speaking students, I would probably say post in Spanish. I'm not sure what your opinions are, Jess, on this.
Yeah, we're going to go through like finding students on Facebook and finding groups for that. So, I mean, if you're looking to teach English lessons to Spanish people, you want to be able to speak to them in their own language. Otherwise, if they can't understand your services, they'll never sign up for them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Think about like when you're browsing things yourself on social media, if you're just scrolling down and you see something that's in a foreign language, you just scroll right past it instead of having to go to the effort of like copy and pasting it onto a translation app just to find out it's an advert. So yeah, make it as easy as possible for people to understand. The girl saying, I could, excellent. If you've got second language skills yourself, that's really, really helpful. But many of our target customers, unfortunately, don't have English, the high-level English skills themselves. Okay, let me go back to what I was just reviewing. But again, please do keep asking questions. It's really great to hear questions you've got on those sort of things. Okay, the final kind of example of a funnel, I don't really class this specifically as a funnel really, but the idea of referral marketing. And essentially this basic kind of concept, I'm just using it as a visual representation here on the screen. But with referral marketing, you get your existing students and clients to refer you to their friends. And I know the other session was it Liv? Someone did a session just the other day about making a Canva flyer and things.
Yeah, so we do some basic Canva flying training. So this week, Friday, we are doing referral marketing. So we're doing a referral flyer. We do have the Chinese New Year template that you gave us permission to use. So that's one of them. And then another one we're doing is actually testimonials. So I've got some testimonials as well that people can use for their marketing.
That is fantastic. I'm really excited for that, Jess. So yeah, make sure you guys go along to the referral thing because I actually think referral marketing is one of the most powerful strategies for sort of accelerating people through that funnel. So yeah, what Jess was teaching and Liv was teaching the other day about making a flyer, and then hopefully what you're going to learn later in the week about making referral specific flyers, something that really helps with referral marketing. But a quick question for you guys though, why do you think referral marketing is so powerful? Why do we think that? So on average, referral marketing has like 3 times the conversion rate or something of standard standard social media marketing. Why do you think referral marketing is so powerful? Teresa's saying people trust their friends. Absolutely. Their friend is directly saying, this teacher is amazing. You need to have class with this teacher. Then you're going to trust that. Definitely. Alison's agreeing. Your friend's opinions matter. Yes. Human herding behavior. I love that, Christine. I've not heard that phrase before. But yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Celia is saying 33% of any business is word of mouth. Yeah, it depends a lot on the business and what strategy you promote. But absolutely, it's a really powerful strategy. Yeah, I was saying people more likely to go with someone they know recommending them than a randomer they found. People will follow the crowd. Absolutely. Great. So by having someone recommending you directly, particularly if it's a friend, so testimonials are great as well, but if it's a friend who's directly recommending you, even more powerful. So we think back to that funnel I showed earlier, and how, at the top of the funnel, we got to track people through like value-based posts and all these sort of things. By doing a referral marketing strategy, you can actually bypass a lot of those initial steps of your funnel because people are already thinking, okay, yes, I want classes. Yes, I want classes with this specific teacher. And they already know that they can trust you and that you're an expert in what you do because a friend has told them and they trust their friend. So this is something I think is really powerful and I really recommend you guys focus on as well. Because there's a lot we talk about, but I think don't forget referrals. Okay, I'm going to move on now, though, to have a look at what I call the top of the funnel. So we talked about these viral social media platforms that could be Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or Chinese platforms like Xiaohongshu, Douyin, Kuaishou, loads of these different platforms like that. So this is the top of your funnel, reaching initial leads. What do you think is the purpose of the post that you make on an app like Xiaohongshu or Facebook? What is the purpose of your posts? What are your goals? Seeing some thinking faces. What do we think are our goals when we are posting on social media, our viral social media? Okay, Alison's saying get their attention. Absolutely. Emma's saying provide value. Yes, great. And that's one of the ways we can attract attention, right? If you provide valuable, interesting, useful content, that's going to draw in the attention of your target students. Nicole saying to recruit students. Christine, increase awareness of my brand. Absolutely. I think we do need to think about ourselves from a business point of view as a brand, not just as a teacher, right? So you want people to think, when they think of classes in your particular niche, your particular subject area, that you want them to think of you, not of someone else. So expertise and authority in my field. Yes. Great. Cool. So I would say on social media, the kind of content you're posting and the first kind of content people are going to come across, your goal is to attract your target audience, not random other people, just your target audience. You want to establish yourself as an expert in what you do. And you want to start to build some of that relationship because that's going to help pull people down your funnel once they start to get to know you a bit more as an individual. I'm really glad to see that no one put in the chat to sell classes, which is fantastic. So yeah, our goal on our social media posts is not to sell yet. Don't be posting adverts and things on social media straight away, because if you think about it yourself, if you're on Facebook, you just see an advert pop up for like Spanish classes, and you might be thinking at some point you might want to learn Spanish, but it's not a priority right now. You'll scroll right past that advert and you won't think about it again. Whereas if you saw a post that said, why is Spanish the #1 language for online teachers to learn today? Join my free webinar. Then you might be like, oh, I'm an online teacher. I didn't realize this was so important for me. Maybe I should go along. So think about what attracts you yourself to other businesses and to follow them and to sign up for things with them. And it's the same kind of approach you want to take in your own marketing. Okay, another important note. Who here is teaching kids? Drop me a yes in the chat if you're teaching kids. Christine's saying no. Okay, no worries. Yes, yes, yes. Lots of yeses. Great. Okay, I say that's probably like 90% yes currently in the chat. Okay, if you're teaching kids, really important note, your target customer is the parent and not the child. So everything we talk about today on social media marketing, you want this to be aimed at the parents, not at the kids. So for example, we talked a bit about value posts and the importance of creating valuable content. It's not meant to be valuable for the kids, okay? Posts that are aimed at kids aren't going to do well because the kid who's watching it doesn't have a card to pay for classes. Instead, you want to create posts that are valuable and interesting for parents, for example, giving them advice on how to help their own kid with English learning, because the parent seeing that is the one who's got the credit card ready to pay. So yeah, your target customer is the parent, not the child, if you're teaching kids. Emma's saying, kids are so funny, they melt my heart. Yes, absolutely. Although I've mostly focused on teaching teenagers, and teenagers, some of them are very funny and cute. Some of them, not so much. I love my students though, can't complain. Okay, so we think about what content does do well then at the top of your funnel. And we're going to dive into this a lot more depth later on throughout this program. I want to give you a quick overview. Stuff that does well at the top of your funnel. So first thing that people are going to see, you want valuable content. So this example is a value post I made talking about websites for reading about science. This is actually the view. I did this picture a while back. It's now over 200 likes on this one individual post. So you can see that post reached a lot of people and people found it valuable and informative. And I still have people engaging with that one today, even though I posted that over a year ago. So valuable content. And also inspirational content. For example, I talked here about my own learning experiences. And I talked a bit about like my own study abroad experiences or my own university education experiences, because I'm trying to target students in my case who are aiming to study abroad. I'm looking at teenagers who are in that process. That's my target audience. And you want a little bit of what I'd call personal content. I actually recommend, if you're using an app like Xiaohongshu and similar on like Instagram or Facebook, some of these personal posts you might want to more do as story posts rather than direct feed kind of related posts. Or you want to try and tie them into valuable and informative and interesting content. Because if they don't know you yet, they're not going to be that interested in learning about you as a person, if that makes sense. But if you can try and link that into your skills and expertise, then fantastic. In this case, this was a post I did talking about me moving to Japan and becoming a teacher in Japan. And lots of people were interested in hearing about that. Now, I put on here promotional posts. Do we think promotional posts do well at the top of the funnel, based on what we've been saying so far? Seeing a few shaking heads. Yeah, I put this up here as a kind of way to catch people out. Don't post promotional posts on like directly and publicize them. You can put the occasional thing, for example, a testimonial or something like that, and sort of pin it somewhere so people who are interested in learning more can check out that kind of content. But I wouldn't recommend focusing on promotional content at the top of your marketing funnel. Okay, Lisa's asking, do you use Canva to make these kinds of posts? Yes. So for example, this post here, this was created using Canva. It's a Canva template. So there's loads of great things on Canva. It's fantastic. Really recommend. Okay, I just answered that question already. So this is a very general kind of idea here. But no matter what platform you're talking about and where you're posting content, it's really important for top of the funnel content to first understand the algorithm. And secondly, start to make things a little bit more personal. That's going to start driving people down your funnel. So when it comes to the algorithm, you want to attract your target audience, and don't get distracted by vanity metrics. Sometimes if you Google like how to do well at the YouTube algorithm or something like that, people will be sharing their tips on how to do well in terms of going viral and reaching large numbers of people. Because most people on platforms like YouTube are trying to get lots of views in order to get more ad revenue and stuff like that. But as online teachers, we're not trying to make ad revenue from posting videos or something online. We're trying to attract actual paying students. So don't get distracted by the view count or the likes or engagement. Those metrics are useful to see, but that's not your ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to attract your target audience and convert them into paying students. When you look at the metrics on different platforms, you can, like on Xiaohongshu, you can do this. I'm pretty sure on Facebook, you can do this. You can see who's looking at your posts. So you can have a look at the stats and check that you're reaching the right kind of audience. For example, in my case, my target students are teenagers. So their parents are generally in their 40s or so, and they're mostly in top tier cities in China. That's my target market. So I'm going to look at the stats for my post. I'm going to check that, am I reaching people who are mostly in their 40s, and am I reaching people in the top like tier 1 cities in China? If so, that's great. If I notice that my posts are reaching a whole bunch of 20-year-olds, they're probably not my target audience, because 20-year-olds don't tend to have teenage kids. So it makes me think, what do I need to tweak about this kind of post in the future? And I also said about making things personal. In your posts and your content, even though it's sort of aimed at a more broad audience, top of your funnel, you want to start encouraging people to work down your funnel and get to know you more as an individual. So include personal anecdotes and insights and things. Don't make them generic, okay? Actually, this post on the right here, probably a bad example because it is quite general. It's not particularly personal. But in the post description, I talked a bit more about these websites and why I liked these websites and how I use them myself to learn and improve my science knowledge. Also talk about you, like be present as an individual. It's very easy to hide behind a Canva template, but try and do videos, show your face, let people get to know you, not Canva. Use call to actions to boost engagement, prompt discussions, and engage in the chat. So pretty much every social media platform has got a comment section on the post, right? You want to be engaging in that and starting to build those relationships a little bit. And where possible, reach out and grow your network actively yourself. So on Xiaohongshu, go and search for other people who are like your target audience in your niche. Same on Facebook. Start to connect with those people. That could be joining Facebook groups that are relevant to your target audience. Start to build a bit of a network there because that's going to drive more people towards your content. Christian's asking, can you repeat, how do you know what age group your posts are engaging, please? Okay, it depends on the platform. On Xiaohongshu, if you look at this screenshot here, let me just highlight it on the screen. In the top right corner, there's 3 little dots. If you click on the 3 little dots, you can then go to data analysis. And on data analysis, it will give you information about who looked at that particular post. So on Xiaohongshu, you can see the age, the gender, the cities or the sort of category of city, information like that, interest they ticked on their profile, like have they said they're interested in education, are they interested in travel or something like that, all that kind of data you can see for per individual post and also for overall for your account in another section of your profile. You only get access to these statistics once you've got at least, I think it's 50 followers on Xiaohongshu, because otherwise, because of data protection, they don't want you to be able to identify personal individual data. But once you've got 50 followers, you get access to basic analytics. Once you've got over 1,000 followers on Xiaohongshu, you get access to more advanced analytics. To be honest, I haven't found the more advanced analytics all that more useful than the standard ones, so don't worry too much about that. Okay. I'm not sure about other platforms, but on Facebook, whatever, they'll have this stats somewhere. Okay, I'll move swiftly on because this is meant to be a half-hour session. I've already overrun, and I've got the last bit here to talk about, which I think is also really important to have a think about. So we talked about the top of the funnel, reaching lots of people. Once you've reached lots of people in your target audience, we want to start working towards that conversion, right? Which is where the bottom part of your funnel is really important. This, as I mentioned before, is where you're going to be wanting to use a more personal and more direct communication-based platform. But how are you going to get people onto that platform? What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. So how can you persuade people to give you their email address or to add you on WeChat or to add you on Facebook Messenger, something or other? I'm not quite sure other systems you might be using. But how do you get people to give over that kind of contact details? You might want to have a think yourself about what you've done. What's persuaded you to give over your email address, for example, to Jess to sign up for this program? Okay, great. Lots of people in the chat saying the same kind of thing. Freebie, lead magnet, offer them something for free. Yes. So you want to give them something in return for that email address or for that WeChat contact, right? We call this a lead magnet because it is a magnet that pulls in leads. It's a freebie, okay? And there's a huge range of different things. And I know you're going to have another session focusing a lot more on this later on. But just in terms of your overall funnel, this is that bit that's converting people from the top part of your funnel into the bottom part of the funnel, is this lead magnet. It could be something like a book. It could be like an ebook, vocab list, practice papers for specific exams, self-study packs, all kinds of things you could be doing. Feel free to take a screenshot if you want these ideas. But as I said, you're going to learn more about this a little bit later on in the program. But essentially, you want something that is free, that is ideally a PDF, easy to share, and that you can send them via email or via WeChat messages or something once you've got their contact details. And this lead magnet, you can actually promote directly on your other socials. So the top part of your funnel, how do people know about your lead magnet? You have to tell them, right? Put it on your posts. Like at the end of some of your posts, you can write, do you want to learn more about this topic? Comment something below, and I'll send you my free guide. So like comment IELTS for your free IELTS practice paper pack. Once people have commented, you then reach out to them by direct message to get their details in order to then send them this free pack. So you need to tell them about your lead magnet. You can even make posts directly talking about it. You have to be a bit careful on platform rules. Xiaohongshu is a little bit more restrictive in terms of promotional content that you can post. But you could, for example, just share a screenshot of the first page of your lead magnet and say, I'm super excited to have made this free ebook. It covers all these amazing topics. Yay. Okay. You're not directly selling it. It's a freebie. That kind of thing you can do. Alice is asking, if you do a webinar and you're the young student teacher, would the webinar be for the parents or the students? Okay, so this depends, and I think maybe this is also worth talking about in that lead magnet session specifically as well. It depends on who your target audience is. It could be something for the students. If you're targeting, like for example, if it's going to be a group program or something, you want to have like a group class, something like that. But in general, if it's going to be like a PDF or something like that, you want to be targeting the potential customer. So the free PDF would be like, I put IELTS as an example. IELTS is one that is taken by adults. But if say you're doing something for kids, like you're targeting the KT exam and you want to share a KT related resource, you could do an ebook that's top tips for parents on how to prepare for your child for the KT exam, or like a timeline of when you should be preparing. 3 months in advance, you should be doing this. 2 months in advance, you should be doing this. The week before, do this. Night before, get a good night's sleep, that kind of thing. You could do that as a lead magnet that's valuable for the parents, because you want the parents' details. You don't want the kids' details specifically. When it comes to webinars, I've done webinars before, but I've done them like in Chinese, aimed at Chinese parents, because like it depends a bit on sort of your language confidence of some of these things as well. So I'd be a little bit wary on the webinar front. But if you feel confident doing webinars in your second language and you're able to engage directly with parents in a webinar, then I would say go for it. Of course, if you're also targeting parents who themselves are English speakers, or for example, expat parents who've moved to an English-speaking country, their kid needs English classes because the kid's quite young. The parents probably already speak a good level of English because they moved to the UK to work, so they had a good level in the first place. Then you could do a webinar in English in that case. Okay. Hope that gave you some ideas. But yeah, talk about that a bit more probably in the lead magnet webinar. There's a lot of different things you can do here. Okay, Alice is asking, is a free class for students a good option? I have mixed opinions on free trials. Jess, what's your opinion on free trial classes?
I was going to say, I'd like to speak up on this. If it's one-on-ones, I would say I never do free trial one-on-ones anymore. If you're in a position where you're just getting started, maybe do a half price one-on-one. But for me, the best thing to do is a free large group trial class. So if it's Christmas, if it's Valentine's Day, if it's Easter, if it's Halloween, whatever, do a themed class, advertise that like crazy and get people to join. And you know what I noticed? I wanted to ask you something about this, Katie. Is I saw someone actually advertising their VooV meeting link in Shanghongshu. Is that allowed? Because I saw that and I was like, that could be a good funnel for getting them into Tencent Meeting VooV, and then you can share your WeChat details at the end, right? But I would just say large group classes as a trial free thing is great, but not one-on-ones.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you there. Like I think group things, like you said, like a group program, like Christmas was just a while back, so we could have done a Christmas themed group program for free. I'd actually recommend as well, if you're building a bit of a community via a WeChat group, a Xiaohongshu group, Facebook group, something like that, get people into that community first and then run the event within that community. That way you're kind of focusing on people who are a bit further down the funnel, not freeloaders who are not that interested yet. But yeah, I'm interested to hear about that VooV thing, because you on Xiaohongshu specifically, you're not meant to share any external contact details or links. So I don't know how they manage that.
I don't know how we did it without getting flagged, but I saw it and I was like, that's actually could be a really good funnel if it worked. So I wanted to ask you if you knew any more details on that. Because I was like, that could be a really good way to connect people. Because I've done free trial classes, like you said, I've done it in a WeChat group, and then I invite the parents to join, get their friends to join the WeChat group. All my promotions is in there, and then I share my VooV meeting link. But then when I saw it the other day that a gentleman was doing it on Shanghongshu, sharing a group class with his VooV link, and it wasn't getting flagged. In fact, loads of people were reacting to it. I was like, that could be a really good funnel.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt that would work. Like, they should be flagged. I'm surprised he got away with it. I'm not sure I would risk it.
Too. So I'm not sure. Anyway, I'll have to test it out. But what I typically do is I've got a WeChat group class. So some of you are actually in my story time. I used to do free story classes for kids. And then I would do that maybe once a week or whatever. So parents would always join that group. But the thing is, you don't just do the lesson, right? You make sure that they invite people to the free class, and then you advertise your paid services in that lesson. So you're like, hey, I want all the parents to come here, or you start with the parents or you end with the parents, but you are saying if you want to join, these are my services that I offer. This is the curriculum that I do. This is, the results I can get you. So don't just do a free class for nothing. You want to promote your paid services.
Absolutely. And I would recommend, I know people were asking before about like, what if I don't know the language of my students? If you're doing a quick kind of pitch, many parents do have a basic level of English, particularly if they're quite internationally minded. That's why they want their kids to learn English. But you could just screen share the information in their native language. So say you're targeting Chinese students, you can put up a screen share, a bit like what you were showing the other day about the flyers, like translate that basic information about your classes, your curriculum, your testimonials or results that you've got, put that in Chinese on a screen share. So even though you're explaining it yourself in English, they can at least read the basic information on the screen. But yeah, don't miss the opportunity to sell.
Yes.
We've got a question here. Katrina is asking, what's the best way to funnel parents and Xiaohongshu to WeChat? What can indirectly say to do so? Yeah, this is a difficult one, and Xiaohongshu is making it quite restrictive to share WeChat contact details on Xiaohongshu. A few things that I've tried, and I know other teachers tried that worked. Firstly, make sure your WeChat ID is the same as your Xiaohongshu ID. We'll talk more about that in the profile optimization session. But if your IDs match, people can easily just search you up because your ID is the same. I've also recently changed my Xiaohongshu name to also be my WeChat ID. That works because I picked a WeChat ID that's just my name plus a few numbers. So now when I go to, let me show you my Xiaohongshu profile. So it's a bit smaller screen here, but you can see at the top here, it used to just say Katie, and then it had this information about what I teach. Now it says my whole ID, which is Katie0795, and then the information about what I teach. So it's a little bit obviously not actually a name because no one's got numbers in their name. So people realize it's an ID. But it didn't get flagged by Xiaohongshu because to Xiaohongshu itself, it looked like an ID, if that makes sense. And after I did that, I've had like 2 or 3 extra people per day contact me, asking about classes and things just based on that one change. So that definitely worked. Also, when I created my group, my Xiaohongshu group, I also put that ID as the name of the group. So now it just says KT0795, Cursia, like science classes. As the name of the group. So again, it's reminding people of my WeChat ID, everything they see that I post. So things like that. Basically, as long as your IDs match on both WeChat and Xiaohongshu, you can casually mention your ID wherever you want. And as far as Xiaohongshu can see, you're just promoting your own Xiaohongshu account. Like they can't flag it because it's just your Xiaohongshu ID. So you're not sharing external contact details. You don't write WeChat next to it. Don't put the WeChat logo next to it. But anyone looking at the post will be like, obviously that's a WeChat ID. Someone's asking, where do you get the ID? So it's in, if you look on this is your profile. So then your name is the bit at the top. Underneath, there's really small bit, there's a really small bit of text underneath, and it says Xiaohongshu, which is in Chinese characters, 3 Chinese characters, and then ID. I'm not sure if you can see it. And then underneath that, it says IP address, and it says your country. So you can find it there, and you need to change it to a custom one. You can do that in the profile settings. We'll talk more about that later on when we do the profile optimization. Also, just a warning, don't change your ID yet because you can only change it like once per year. So please don't go and change it yet. We'll talk more about this in the profile optimization session.
Yeah. In fact, guys, if you're not sure what to do, Katie is doing a whole session with us on this. Do not change your profile before that because you cannot rechange it. So rather just leave your IDs right now and Katie will help us in that hour session.
Yes, don't touch it, please, because you can only change it once per year. So once you've set it, you're stuck with it. Yeah, don't touch the ID yet, please. Okay, anyway, so once you've got people onto your WeChat or into your messaging system, you're going to start messaging with them. And again, talk about this idea of a funnel. We're now getting towards that conversion stage, but you're not going to sell straight away. Why don't we want to sell straight away? Someone's just reached out to you about your lead magnet. What do you think? Why don't we want to sell to them straight away once they've started messaging you? Because they're messaging you, right? They must want classes. Or sometimes they ask things like, what's your prices, or that kind of information. Cora's saying build rapport. Jess is saying build trust. Emma's, we need to build a relationship. Yeah. If so far they've only engaged with you through your public posts, you haven't got to know them individually yet. And they're starting to like you because they've seen some more of your content and hopefully you've done like videos and stuff. So they've started to see you, but they haven't really got that close personal relationship. Also, you don't know anything about them yet, like not personally. So when it comes to your sort of sales pitch, you don't know whether you're selling them KET classes. Are you selling them PET classes? Are you selling them study abroad consultation? Why are they reaching out to you? They don't know yet. So if they've just reached out to you asking for your lead magnet, you can't assume that they're definitely interested in the most popular class that you offer. It might be they actually want something a little bit different. So when you do your sales pitch, you want to be able to make it personalized to what they need. So for example, rather than saying, oh, I offer KET classes, here's the price, and my students, like 95% of them pass, it's amazing. And they're going to reply being like, oh, I didn't want KET classes, though. I actually wanted PET, so I guess you're probably not the right teacher for me, goodbye. Whereas if you got that information first, you could have gone back with saying, oh, well, my focus is on PET classes, and my pass rate is this percentage, and here's a testimonial, blah, blah, blah. So get the information first to customize your sales pitch. We'll talk more about this another time, but feel free to take a screenshot of kind of questions you might want to ask. Essentially, the idea is you want to suss out their suitability and get like the level of interest and information about them, so you can put together a more customized sales pitch, and also decide whether or not to even proceed to the next stage anyway. You might, for example, get people reaching out to you, and you can tell from these messages that they're not going to be a paying customer. So don't start offering them like a free trial or something. It's going to be wasting your time if they're not actually going to be suitable. So you want to kind of qualify your leads first. So ask them kind of questions, get that information off them, allows you to make a decision as to what to pitch to them and how to pitch it. And ultimately, what do you think we need to do if they don't buy? Because I'm going to be honest with you, probably about half the people who reach out to me never buy anything. And that's very normal. In fact, that's quite a good rate, like, to be honest. You'll probably find the majority of people who reach out to you, at least initially, don't buy straight away. So what do you need to do? If you reach out to them, you sold them your sales pitch, you told them, okay, you know, you want KET classes, this is my package, I've got a group program starting next week, how about you come and join, blah, blah, blah. And they decided that they're not interested, or they just haven't applied, what would you do? Sorry, I know we're going massively over time, so I want to kind of quickly go through the last few points. But I think this is important when we think about our funnel, this last stage here. What do we do if they don't buy? Because it links into the kind of structure of our funnel here. Okay, Emma's saying, get their email, add them to your email marketing list. Absolutely. Christine, approach them again in the near future. Yeah, maybe right now it's not the right thing for them, but in a few months' time, they might be in a better position to buy. Particularly if it's something like exams, you're doing an exam-focused thing, and the exam isn't for a few more months, and they decide your sprint program is more suitable a few weeks beforehand, maybe. Rashti, get the details and stay in touch. Alison saying, be friendly still, make yourself available. Absolutely. Celia saying, send them promotional emails, keep nurturing them. Yes. So don't just abandon a lead because they haven't bought straight away. It's very common that people don't buy the first time round. But you need to remind them of your sale, your offer, and what you're offering to them. You need to keep in touch and nurture that relationship a bit more. I've got a few things on the screen here. Sometimes if it's a kind of fixed program, like you've got a group program that starts on a fixed date that's coming up, send them reminders in the run up to that start date, being like, oh, they've got 2 places left on the program, starts next week, are you interested? Maybe add in a few extra bonuses or a special discount or something, or allow them to do the first class as a free trial, if it's something along those lines, like a group program. Another option is that, you know, if their objections about the price, they're saying it's too expensive, downsell them a cheaper option. So for example, okay, they didn't want your one-on-one class, no problem. How about we have a group class? Or you have like a self-paced program or something they can do, like some videos you can sell to them. As you start to scale, you might start to add on various other options for students. So downsell them a cheaper option. Maybe they're worried about the timings. Time doesn't work for them. So you can offer a self-paced program or alternative time. If right now is not the best time for them, say, is it okay if I get in touch with you in 3 months' time? Or when would you like me to get back in touch with you again? When you've got more available time, like in the school holidays, perhaps. And of course, I was just saying in the messages in the chat here, nurture that connection via emails, via group. If you've got a group chat, add them to your WeChat group, add them to your Xiaohongshu group, add them to your Facebook group. So they've got the opportunity to keep in touch with you, and send personal follow-ups. So every now and then, not every day, okay, every few months, reach out to them. How are you doing? Yeah, how's your daughter Sonny getting on in school? Did she do okay in her exam last week? That kind of thing. Even if they haven't purchased that time round, it shows your interest in them and their child, and it means they're more likely to consider you in the future. Okay, I think that's everything I had, hopefully. I had a little task for you guys, homework task. Essentially, I'm going to do some more questions as well. If you've got any questions, pop them in the chat. Quick task for you guys to do. I know this is not like directly yet applying things to you and your own business, because we need to first talk about Facebook or talk about Xiaohongshu and WeChat and stuff in the next few weeks. Today was more of a set of setting the scene type thing. But my task for you to do, therefore, is for you to go away and have a look at your favorite social media apps, look at your email newsletters, think about whose funnel are you already opted into in some way. Like, what email newsletters do you get each week from different companies? think about maybe 3 examples. Note down, like, how did you find out about that particular product or service? What persuaded you to sign up to their email list or join that Facebook group? Did you buy anything from them? And have they sent reminders? How do they prompt you to make that purchase? So I want you to have a think about companies you're already familiar with and their funnel and sort of analyze that a little bit, because it's going to help you think about how you can apply that yourself to your own business. Okay, I've talked a lot, sorry. There was a lot to go through. We've overrun by like 20 minutes, so thank you everyone for sticking around. I know there's some questions in the chat as well. Any questions at all, pop them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself, you can ask questions. It's a relatively smallish group, so we can chat. Let me know if you've got any questions at all, and I hope this was helpful.
So Alison had a question about the Koala Go story
Ooh,
being a lead
yes.
magnet. Is that a free trial class, Alison? Because I'm actually not sure what you mean.
So
Like a reading book?
Yeah, so Koala Go stories are like self-paced games or activities you create in Koala Go Playground. Yeah, that could be a really good lead magnet, but make sure you don't just send them the story link. You want to send them, you want them to opt into your email newsletter. And once they've opted into the email newsletter, the first email they get is the link to the story. Or like you have to get them to add you on WeChat first, and then you send them the story link. So make sure they've given you the contact details first, and then you give them that link to the free Koala Go story. Yeah, that's a great idea. It depends obviously what you teach. Make sure your lead magnet is directly relevant to your target audience and adds value and has the opportunity to sell. If it's a story, put on the last section of the story your message upselling your classes in their target language, in their native language, sorry, not the target language, their native language. So targeting Chinese students, put a message in Chinese at the end being like, did you enjoy this fun, adventure, phonics adventure program? Sign up for my classes. I have a link or information like how to add you on WeChat. They've got you on WeChat already, hopefully, but a little kind of sales pitch at the end to remind them to make a sale. Annie's asking, what percentage of your post should be value, inspirational, personal, or promotional? I would recommend focus primarily on value and inspiration type content. If we talk about top of the funnel here, I assume. Top of the funnel, focus on that valuable, inspirational content. Add personal anecdotes to things to start making it a bit more personal. Use like stories to add a bit more of a personal touch. And I would really limit promotional stuff on your sort of top of the funnel section of your funnel. Sorry, I'm rambling. So yeah, I would say like less than 10% promotional. And when I say promotional, that's anything that's directly mentioned in your classes or classes as promotional. It's like a testimonial, I would count as promotional. Like a clip from your class, I would count as promotional. Even if you're not directly saying buy now, special discount or something, it's still promotional if it's directly mentioned in your classes. So I would keep that quite small. I know some people disagree with that. They say, oh, you should try and sell more upfront because otherwise you attract people who are just looking for the free content. But I think you do need to attract people first before you start sharing more promotional stuff. That's my opinion. Christy's asking, to use any automated marketing tools? There are so many different options out there. I know we're going to cover some of those later on in the program. So
we're going to look at scheduling posts. We're doing that with Facebook. So a good question really for me as well, Katie, is are there any automated marketing tools for the Chinese market? Because other than Super Teacher, because I've contacted Ivy about being able to do a mass newsletter with Super Teacher and things like that. Would you say there's anything automated that you could use?
So on Chinese platforms, I'm primarily going to be talking about Xiaohongshu and WeChat as being the 2 main ones. WeChat is a bit like WhatsApp, it's a messaging system. There are a few automations possible if you are a registered company in China and you've created an official WeChat account and you go down that route. Everyone here is not going to be in that situation. You're just going to be using it as a personal profile on WeChat. And is anyone here Chinese and has a Chinese company? Probably not. Please let me know if you are, in which case we talk more about it another time. But most people will not have access to those automated tools. They're only available to registered Chinese businesses. That's what, like, if you message and then it will automatically reply with something, that kind of automation. So you can't do that on a personal profile, unfortunately, on WeChat. It all has to be done by yourself, and you can't even pre-schedule stuff. It's quite restrictive. On Xiaohongshu, you can pre-schedule posts. It used to only be in the computer app, but as of a few weeks ago, I've suddenly found it also on my phone app. I'm not quite sure exactly when it came out. I only noticed it like 2 weeks ago. So sometime in the last month or so, they brought out that feature to pre-schedule posts from within the computer app. I'm not 100% sure if that's only for people with professional accounts, like over 1,000 followers or not, because obviously like I don't have a not professional account, so I can't test it. So please let me know if you don't have the feature. It's useful for me to have an idea. But yeah, you can pre-schedule posts on Xiaohongshu, which means you can batch create a bunch of content and then schedule out the next month's worth of content ahead of time. So you can just sit down one afternoon and just create a whole bunch of posts, put them all up, and then you can go to sleep and forget about it. And it'll just automatically post them on according to your schedule. You can do that on Xiaohongshu, but you can't have automated replies or sort of lead generation sort of capturing tools. They don't exist for Xiaohongshu or WeChat, unfortunately.
Great, thanks, Katie. Yeah, I know that a lot of us, I had heard a lot about companies being able to do it, but as an individual with WeChat, I had not heard if you could do anything with that. So it's really good to know you can do it on Xiaohongshu as an independent teacher. So it might be really good to get you to come back one day and to help us with that. Because I'm doing scheduling with Facebook on next week when we're doing Finding Students on Facebook course. So maybe, Katie, I'll connect with you about that last week. If you could do like a little quick Loom video to show us how to schedule, that would be really
It's really
cool.
easy. Like literally you just create the post like normal and then you just press on the schedule button instead of post. You just click.
Oh,
schedule, that's it.
okay. Cool.
Oh, Gorn's raised his hand. Gorn, do you want to just unmute yourself?
Hey guys, you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, first of all, Katie, thanks for a lot of your insights today. They're awesome as always. Okay, I have a suggestion and a question. So I've recently started an interesting strategy. So you might this might be interesting for you guys if you've been on Xiaohongshu for at least like a year. If you noticed some, let's say, influencers or some kids influencers, that might be an interesting solution. I'm trying that out. There's popular boy, he has like 4 maybe 5,000 followers, and I do classes with him once a week, and in exchange he posts videos of our lessons, and then mom is actually quite good at filming, so she records him with something, not sure. He even has the little microphone here, so they are really good at that. So that could be a good strategy. So maybe you might try this out. I mean, I'm still testing it. I tried that like a week ago. I started it 2 weeks ago, maybe. And so far I got a few leads. So let's see where it goes. And I tried, I had a problem with sharing the WeChat ID. So I know before it was much easier. I know I never got flagged or anything. I just said my WeChat ID is this, and they would go there. Then I tried, I think, like saying writing WeChat with some other letters, V instead of W, and that was not a problem in the beginning, but then it became a problem too. I think the green app might be a solution that doesn't get flagged. And recently, I think I saw this tip from you, Katie. I have a screenshot where it says, please add me on WeChat, also with V, not W. My WeChat ID is this, and it's the same as my Xiaohongshu. But I got the message right away after the screenshot.
Yeah, I think that strategy doesn't really work anymore, unfortunately. So there's 2 things to talk about. I just want to first address, you talked about influencer marketing, getting someone to recommend you. And I think that's a really good strategy. There's a few different approaches. I'd be wary of doing it, like do it as a trial and see how it goes, rather than promising ongoing free classes, unless you're actually getting paid leads, like paying students from it. But that kind of links into what we're saying about referral marketing. So one way of doing that, if you've got current students, is to encourage them to share clips. And you can, if you record your classes, it's very easy to therefore send them the recording and just say, by the way, if you enjoyed the class and you want to recommend to friends, feel free to share the clip. So you're giving them permission to share the clip as they wish. Then it's up to them as they want to promote you. And then you offer in return for a paying student some kind of referral bonus. That could be a free class. I'm actually not a fan of free classes, referral bonuses. I could talk about that maybe another time. But yeah, I think that's one approach to take. That Xiaohongshu also has a website called the Dandelion Club, which actually I'm registered as supposedly an influencer on this program. So I have had a few brands reach out to me offering to promote their brand on my Xiaohongshu. I haven't actually accepted any of them because they weren't that interesting to me, and it's not what I want to focus on. But I've also used it with our own tutoring program. So the program that I co-founded back in 2020, we use the Dandelion Club system to find influencers from Xiaohongshu. Dandelion Club is run by Xiaohongshu. And basically anyone who's got over 1,000 followers is invited to join the Dandelion Club as a micro-influencer. And then brands can register on the Dandelion Club website to find micro-influencers in their niche, and you can find all kinds of useful statistics to check that it's someone suitable. And then you reach out to them and you arrange, like you pay them a fixed amount and they'll post something related to what you're offering. Personally though, we did that with our tutoring program. We got some leads from it. I don't think it really paid off that well. So I would recommend only really thinking about that once you're scaling up. I think doing that initially probably wouldn't be the most successful approach and could cost up quite a lot. Like influencers do ask quite a lot for promoting you quite often, those kind of programs. But yeah, what you're saying about having a current student who's posting videos from the classes, like encourage that, definitely, referral approach. The other thing you talked about was sharing your WeChat ID on Xiaohongshu. And like this is something that Xiaohongshu has been really cracking down on. You used to be able to just post it, like you could just write it on the post. If you go back 2 or 3 years, it was not a problem at all to just write, my WeChat ID is blah, 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 and post that as something publicly. Then they started restricting it on public posts, and then they've also now, the last year or so, started restricting it in private messages too. There's a few ways around it. Like I said, the ones I was talking about earlier about changing your WeChat ID to match the Xiaohongshu ID, putting it as your name, putting it as your group name on Xiaohongshu, all those kind of things all work quite effectively. If you want to send it like an actual direct message, taking a picture of it written down on a piece of paper tends to work. So like handwrite it on paper, so it's harder for the AI to scan. Handwrite your ID and draw a picture of like the WeChat logo or something. That can sometimes get through without being flagged. But things like taking a screenshot of your WeChat profile used to work. It's now getting flagged because they can scan for text in images. So it will flag up that kind of thing. I've also sometimes just sent, when they've sent a message, I'll reply back saying, sorry, it's awkward to talk on Xiaohongshu. They know when you say it's awkward to talk, they know that you mean like it's not allowed to talk. But I was a bit awkward to talk on Xiaohongshu. How about you add me on the other app? My ID is the same. That has gone through for me fine without being flagged by just saying like the account is the same. So it's like 账号相同 means that 账号 is like account. So not ID, I don't use the letters ID, but the account is the same. And like the other app rather than, don't mention WeChat specifically. Another one that you talked about, the green heart emoji is often used to represent WeChat because the word for WeChat in Chinese, 微信, xin is like a homophone with the word for heart. So it rhymes, like it sounds the same. And the WeChat logo is green. So a green heart kind of represents WeChat. Things like the messaging emojis have been blocked, so those don't work anymore. So I'm rambling a lot. We can maybe talk about this more when we talk about WeChat and Xiaohongshu later on.
We actually have got a lot more lessons on this. The last week of the 4-week challenge is all on WeChat and Xiaohongshu. So I think the best thing you can do to prepare for it right now is make sure that you at least get WeChat verified. Do not change your profile until you have the session with Katie. So just get your WeChat, because Katie's going to help you with setting up and optimizing your profiles, getting an ID set up and showing you like, and in that week you'll figure out how to use WeChat and Xiaohongshu as a funnel. Because I do know that some teachers are not as interested in Chinese social media. They're using a funnel on Facebook, and I'm going to do that in the next week. So really this week is about choosing a funnel, looking at apps to use, how to get students, how to attract them. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about making lead magnets, choosing a lead magnet, creating that, looking at maybe an email list, especially if you are using, students who are not in China. So we're going to discuss all of that tomorrow, as well as funnels for the rest of this week. But Katie will be back in the last week of the challenge, and we will be going into WeChat and Xiaohongshu in a lot more detail then.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll do more in the last week, we focused specifically on WeChat and Xiaohongshu. And there's some teachers are here like, oh, I'm doing Facebook anyway. They're not planning on targeting Chinese students, in which case, hopefully everything we talked about today is general. Don't worry, it applies to most platforms. So Gordon, you got your hand up. Do you have a question?
Hello, may I speak? Just 10 more seconds. I sent you the message here. So what do you think would the words like ID and username get flagged too by the AI?
Yes, yeah. they'll get flagged. If you use the word like ID, if you send QR codes, if you send website addresses, all those sort of things get flagged.
No, I'm not saying so just using the word ID, like you can
Yeah.
find my ID here. So that might get flagged.
That would get
Well,
flagged, yeah.
The word username too.
So when I've said user, as in like Zhanghao means like a user account, that's been fine. It hasn't been flagged for me. But
Yeah, the English word might get flagged.
no, I'd write it in Chinese. If you write it in English, they might not know the word. But like when you post something, you get a warning if it's been flagged up on how sure this is. If you post something in messages, you first get
Yes,
a
yes.
warning, and they send you quite a lot of these warnings before there's any actual implications of it. So you can test out what you're messaging, and it'll tell you underneath, like warning, be careful of external contact details or something like that, it says. So if you see a little message in small print in Chinese appearing underneath your messages, it's been flagged. In which case, don't send that kind of message anymore and change your approach. But yeah.
Okay. So the written message would be the handwritten message on paper would be like your best advice. Okay, thank you.
Or
Great tip.
account the same.
Yeah, account the same. That's what I normally do.
Yeah, I did. Just like in English or like
In Chinese. I'll put it in the chat.
You know what I'll do is I'll put a Canva flyer together for this, Katie, like ways that you can get them into WeChat without being flagged.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's actually
This
one
is
I did
great.
just the other day.
So
and
you
I'm gonna make a
suggest
video
we
about
write
but
this
you
on
can-
paper, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this one you can send as a message. The one I just put in the chat. You can send it as a message. That's fine.
Okay,
You don't have
okay.
to try and handwrite the characters. Don't worry. That would be
Oh,
difficult.
okay. Got it now. Okay, great tip. So you think this shouldn't get flagged right now?
It hasn't been flagged for me.
Okay.
But as I say, try it. If it will come up with a little message underneath if it's been flagged, so you can see.
So this or to write on paper using English, my WeChat ID.
Don't write my WeChat. Just write the ID itself. Don't write any other words around it because they will spend ages trying to translate what else you wrote. I just literally draw a picture of the WeChat logo and write next to it your ID. That makes sense.
Okay.
Because otherwise they'll try and type in the ID, my WeChat ID is, instead of actually putting in your WeChat ID.
Thanks, Katie. Thank you very
No
much.
worries. I think we've answered most of the questions. Any other questions about funnel in general? Oh, Vashti's raising her hand.
Hi, Katie, I just wanted to know when you translate from English to Chinese, there are two versions on Google Translate. Which one do you use? I think there's a original or an
Simplified
old.
or traditional.
Yeah.
Simplified.
Okay.
Simplified.
Okay.
So simplified Chinese is used in mainland China. Traditional
Mhm.
Chinese is used in Hong Kong, Macau,
Okay.
Taiwan, like outside of mainland China.
Okay.
But if you're mostly targeting mainland Chinese students, write in simplified Chinese.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
They're kind of the same. Like I learned simplified Chinese, but I can read traditional Chinese. I just can't
Okay.
handwrite it because it's more
Okay.
complicated.
Yeah.
But they'll be able to read it either way, but use
Okay.
simplified.
Okay. Thanks.
No worries.
Okay.
Sydney's asking advice on targeting Spanish-speaking students who want to learn English. Probably you're best off waiting till stuff on Facebook that's coming. I'd imagine that's probably a better platform to focus on. My own expertise has been more on the Chinese market. I want to keep today quite general, but yeah, if you want to target specifically Spanish-speaking students, I think Jess has got more tips in the Facebook marketing week.
Yeah, the funnel is still the same of like how you can attract them, bring them in, nurture them, sell to them, use referral marketing. So that will be similar. But next week in Facebook, please do bring that up, because when we look for Facebook groups to be able to advertise in, you need to be looking for those Spanish speaking niche groups where your audiences are hanging out, and those groups are going to be different for everyone. So next week, I'll help you with thinking about, well, how can you find relevant groups for your niche? Yeah.
I think that's all the
Okay.
questions then.
Lovely. Well, let's wrap it up. I know that we've taken more of your time than usual today. So thank you so much for staying on with us, Katie. It was excellent as usual. Your presentation was top. I think we've learned so much. Thank you. Thank you. I will be recording this and uploading it into the course by the end of today. And yeah, we're going to look forward to seeing you again in week 4 when we do go through WeChat and Shonghongshu in more details. So thank you so much, Katie.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for having me. Thank you everyone for sticking around. I know we overran massively, so thank you. And yeah, see you guys in week 4.
Okay, perfect. All right. Cheers, everyone. Bye, bye, bye. Cheers. Thanks. Bye, 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 bye.